The alarm clock buzzed loudly at 6 in the morning, interrupting Emma's peaceful sleep. After a couple of minutes, the woman smiled and stretched out on the bed, then got up, took a shower, and went to wake up her 7-year-old son, Alan. She gently ran her fingers through his hair and murmured, "Alan, dear, wake up. You have to get ready for school. Open your eyes right now. Otherwise, we'll be late." The boy rubbed his eyes and didn't want to get up from the warm bed. "Mummy, can I stay in bed for 5 more minutes? But I won't eat disgusting porridge. And I don't want to go to your work after school. It's boring there." Emma tried to persuade her disgruntled son. "Okay, no porridge for breakfast today. I made an omelette. Or you can have tea and a sandwich. But my driver will bring you to my office after school anyway. You're too young to stay home alone. And your nanny's sick. You know that. Don't be so cranky. Get out of bed. I'm waiting for you in the kitchen." Every day of this businesswoman was planned minute by minute. In the morning, she would take her son to school, then drive to the office, and there she would have calls, meetings, negotiations, and so on until the evening. Emma had her own atelier. She started this business on her own. It all started in a small basement. Her employees were making all the essentials for cold weather: hats, mittens, and scarves. Emma's task was to provide materials for this production and to negotiate with customers to sell the finished products. At first, it was difficult and scary for her to do it. It seemed to her that she didn't understand anything. But after a while, she learned to do everything, and the business began to develop. But it took up almost all of her time, so she didn't devote much time to her son. Sometimes she had to take him to her office after school, because she always came home late at night, and she was afraid to let him stay home alone. She didn't even notice that another busy day at work was coming to an end, and the driver had already brought her son to her office after swimming pool. The boy grudgingly sat down in the chair, told about his school news, mentioned his grades, and then asked, "Mom, I don't want to be at your office. It's so boring here. Can I call Daddy and go to his place? You can pick me up after work in the evening. He doesn't call very often. I miss him." Emma sighed and replied, "Alan, of course, you can call him. He's your father. But I don't think he has time for you. Now he has other priorities in his life." Her son stubbornly shook his head and started dialing his father's number on the phone. "Hi, Daddy. You haven't called in a while, so I decided to call myself. Why don't we go to the park together today? Or I can come to your place. Can I? I miss you." After a short pause, his father replied irritably, "Dear, not today. I have a lot of work to do. If I have some free time this weekend, I'll call you. Bye." The boy was very upset. Emma felt sorry for her son. The child just wanted to communicate with his father, but the man didn't even want to see the boy. The woman winked at him and said, "You know what? I have a short break now. We can go to a cafe and order a huge pineapple pizza and milkshakes. And then I'll work some more, and we'll go home together. Okay? And this weekend we'll go to the circus. What do you think?" The boy immediately cheered up and started talking about school again. After a delicious lunch, Alan started to do his homework, while Emma went to a business meeting. Soon, the woman finished the meeting and returned to her office. She smiled when she saw her son sleeping sweetly curled up on the couch. The woman made a cup of strong coffee, relaxed in an armchair, covered her eyes for a second, and thought about her poor, unhappy childhood. Emma was born in a small town, in a poor family with a hard-drinking father and a constantly exhausted, disgruntled mother. It was unclear why they decided to have a baby. They fought all the time, and the arguments never stopped. Her mom treated her father with contempt. She had to work 2 hard jobs, while the man was constantly drinking. He never seemed to notice Emma, didn't talk to her much, and showed her no kindness. Her mother also never spoiled her daughter with tenderness. She only constantly yelled at her, "Hurry up and get dressed, and stop crying." Who cares that your sweater is scratchy? Our neighbors gave it to you for free. So be grateful for what you have. And please, mop the floor and do your homework before I get home from work. Is that clear? Every day was the same as the previous day. Her mom didn't care what her daughter's life was like, what she dreamed of, and what she wanted. The girl was an excellent student. She liked exact sciences and had an excellent memory. Teachers praised the girl for her efforts in studying. Also, Emma liked to draw. She was coming up with new ideas for drawings all the time, and her imagination was very developed. Her drawings won competitions, even though she drew with the cheapest pencils because she didn't have money for expensive materials. But when she said at home that she wanted to try to enter an art college, her mother answered rudely, "Nonsense. It's not a profession. You wouldn't even be able to earn money for a living. No one will give you money for your stupid drawings. You're not a great artist. You should study fashion design. You're good at it. Look what a nice skirt you made. Looks like you bought it at the store." Emma sighed and agreed with her mom. She was okay with this decision. All the girl wanted was to get away from this small town and never see her drunken father with his empty eyes and her mom's disgruntled face again. She was sick of it all. She didn't even go to the prom at school because her classmates were always mocking her for being poor and teasing her for being the best student. So she didn't want to celebrate the end of school years with mean classmates. Besides, she didn't have a dress, and she didn't even have the money to buy fabric and sew it. Her mother accompanied her to the city, helped her to move into the dormitory, and then went home, leaving some money and some homemade food for the first time. Emma graduated from college with honors, but she didn't stop there and entered the university to study fashion design, as she was very attracted to it since childhood. Jamie studied at the Faculty of Economics. They met in the canteen. The guy's academic results were poor. He had failed his exams and was about to be expelled. Emma decided to help him, and at the same time, she got an opportunity to earn some money. 6 months later, Jamie successfully passed all the exams. He was very grateful to the nice girl who managed to help him. They started dating, but as time went on, nothing changed. They had already gotten married, and her husband started a business. But Emma continued to take care of everything herself, checked all his accounting reports, and managed his business. Officially, they both were the owners of the company. But since the woman was about to have a baby, she rarely showed up at the office, and all the employees believed that it was Jamie who managed everything so wisely in the company, and his wife only helped him a little. At first, everything was fine. The son was growing up. The business was making good money, and family life seemed to be getting better. But soon Jamie became bored. He was sick of everything, and he no longer wanted Emma as passionately as before. Now he lived with Emma only because of the child, but he desperately wanted to fall in love again, to get new emotions. That's when his mistress, Christina, came into his life. They met when he decided to give her a ride home when it was raining outside and she was standing in a wet dress at the bus stop. He noticed the girl's dress that clung to her young body and showed all her curves. Christina was grateful and invited the stranger home for a cup of coffee. Jamie returned home in the morning. It was the first time in his life that he had cheated on his wife. From that day on, he started seeing Christina more and more often. He would tell his wife that he had a lot of work to do at the office and lied about business trips. He even stopped noticing his son. He enjoyed his tumultuous affair with Christina and didn't notice anything at all. Of course, Emma understood what was going on. She cried at night from helplessness, jealousy, and resentment, and tried to talk to her husband frankly. She didn't want to continue living with him, knowing he was cheating on her. But Jamie denied everything and made up all sorts of excuses. There was no more tenderness, affection, and warmth in their family. Jamie didn't even spend time with his son anymore. He seemed to have forgotten the child even existed. But still, Emma hoped that it was just a temporary crisis in the family, that her husband would soon come to his senses and everything would get better. She loved him as before and didn't want a divorce. Continued to live with her husband for the sake of her son because the boy needed a father. But when Alan turned 5 years old, Jamie left them, and he did it in a cowardly way. While Emma was at the zoo with her son, he quickly packed his belongings and left, leaving a note on the table. "I'm sorry. I'm leaving. I fell in love with another woman a long time ago. I'll file for divorce myself." Emma couldn't understand her husband. He didn't even say goodbye to his son. How could he do this to his family? She struggled to hold back her tears as she explained to the boy why his father would no longer live with them. But at night, she cried with despair. She desperately wanted to call her husband and beg Jamie to come to his senses and return to the family. She couldn't believe he had abandoned his family because of a young girl. But that wasn't the worst part. At the court, it turned out that Jamie registered the whole business in his name. He asked his wife to sign the necessary papers. She trusted him, so she didn't check what she was signing. Fortunately, he left the apartment to his wife and son. Emma was very upset. She could not believe in such betrayal and cried for a long time. Her son kept asking when Daddy would come back and why he didn't call them. Emma didn't know what to say. She couldn't tell her son that Daddy had a mistress and decided to live with her. Soon, the woman got angry, scolded herself for being depressed, and decided to start her own business. She decided to do what she had always dreamed of, opened her own atelier, and started designing clothes. Her university friend, who was now a successful businessman, helped her. He borrowed some money. Emma was really nervous because it was a lot of money, and she wasn't sure whether she would be able to pay back the money and whether her business would make a profit. At first, she purchased expensive machines and materials, hired experienced seamstresses, and rented a basement. Gradually, the business began to make a profit. They were making high-quality jackets and coats. The clothes were really nice and comfortable, and sales were growing. Emma managed to pay off the debt quite quickly. Of course, it was taking a lot of time. She was exhausted and didn't have enough time to devote to her son. Emma could afford to buy her son the best of everything. Her child didn't lack anything. It was very important for her. She tried to give her son everything that her parents could not give her: love, affection, and care. Suddenly, a co-worker knocked on the office door, pulling Emma out of her memories, and the woman went to the sewing room. As she left the office, she looked at her son. Alan was still asleep. When the boy woke up, the woman had not yet returned. He rubbed his eyes sleepily, took out a math notebook from his backpack, and began to do his homework. But very soon the boy got bored. He looked sadly out the window. All the child wanted was to go for a walk and play. Alan decided to go outside just for a few minutes while his mom was not in the office. He walked along the street, looked around, and suddenly noticed a playground on the other side of the road. There was a slide, swings, and pull-up bars. The child decided to quickly go down the slide a few times and then go back to the office so that his mom wouldn't find out that he had gone outside without asking her. Alan excitedly headed to the playground and didn't notice the car driving down the road. The brakes of the car squealed, and someone's strong hand grabbed the boy by his sweater and dragged him to the side of the road. The boy was very frightened and cried. The car had almost hit him. A stranger with a beard and a funny knitted hat began to scold him in a rough voice. "Why don't you look around when you cross the road? You almost got hit by a car. All right, stop crying. What's your name?" The child replied quietly. "My name is Alan. Where do you live?" "Alan, I'll walk you home." "By the way, why are you working here alone?" "My mom works in that building. I went outside without asking her. She'll probably scold me. I only wanted to go down the slide." After these words, the boy cried even louder. The stranger felt sorry for Alan, took him by the hand, and said with a wink, "That's it, boy. Don't cry. Mommy will forgive you. Don't be afraid. Come on, I'll take you to her office. Emma solved all the business issues and returned to her office. When she saw that her son was not there, she got worried. Where is he? Where had he gone? She started looking for him around the building, and after checking all the rooms and toilets, she realized that Alan was nowhere to be found. He had never left without asking her before. The woman panicked and ran outside. The security guard followed her, and then they saw Alan walking towards the building with some strange man. Without realizing what was going on, Emma ran up to him and started yelling at the stranger. "Who the hell are you? What do you want from my son? Get away from him, or I'll call the police." But the boy immediately protested. "Mom, don't yell at him. This mister saved me. I almost got hit by a car on the road. I didn't see it. He pulled me to the sidewalk. Don't scold him. It was my fault. Forgive me. I'll never go outside alone again." Emma hugged her son tightly and said, "Alan, I was so scared. Don't ever do that again. Do you understand? You're the most precious person in my life. I can't let anything bad happen to you." Then she looked at the stranger and felt ashamed of her behavior. "Please forgive me. I yelled at you without understanding what happened. Thank you for saving my son." I left the office for a while, and when I came back, he was gone. "I'm so grateful to you. What can I do for you? Maybe you need money. Please take it." She tried to give him some cash, but the man refused to take it and said sharply, "No, I don't need your money. But if you could help me find a job, I'd be grateful. Do you have any job for me? I'm ready to do anything. I really want to start a new life, you know. I'm tired of living like this." "Andrew, your co-worker retired recently. Why don't we hire this man?" He frowned and muttered, "You're the boss. We'll do whatever you say. But I don't like this idea. He might start stealing or drinking at work. I won't be able to trust him." "You're right. It's a risk. But still, let him walk for 3 months on probation, and then we'll see." The woman replied calmly, "Mister, what is your name? Do you have an ID? Are you ready to work as a security guard for our company?" The homeless man cheered up. "My name is Alex. Of course, I have an ID. Thank you very much. I'm ready to get to work whenever you say. I promise to work diligently." "My name is Emma. I am the owner of this atelier. You'll be working with Andrew. Come here tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. He'll explain everything to you and supervise you." Alex started working in the atelier as a security guard. He worked diligently and was polite and neat. When he got his first paycheck, he immediately bought new clothes, got a haircut, and even rented a small room in the dormitory. The man was grateful to Emma for giving him a chance to start a new life. He often talked to Alan. The boy trusted him, told him all his childhood joys and difficulties, and sometimes even asked for advice. Alex liked to spend time with the boy. 3 months passed. Emma was satisfied with the new employee. There were no complaints about his work, but Andrew was angry. He hated the homeless guy because he expected Emma to hire his friend for this position. So Andrew came up with a plan to fire Alex. One day, when it was Alex's shift, there was a scandal. Andrew called Emma and told her that he found important papers in Alex's pocket with payment records and invoices. "Emma, look what's going on in your atelier. This man stole your papers. Probably he decided to sell them to someone. You should fire him. Remember when I told you he'd start stealing? It happened. I warned you." The woman looked at Alex incomprehensibly. She couldn't believe that such a thing could happen. She took the papers, examined them, and immediately realized that Andrew was lying. Alex didn't have access to such papers. Someone set him up. Alex clenched his fists and turned pale, and then quietly but very confidently said, "I didn't steal anything. If you don't believe me, I'd better leave right now. I don't want you to accuse me of something worse and send me to jail next time." Emma frowned and replied, "I believe you, Alex. I promise I'll find out what happened." "Andrew, Go on vacation for a week for now. Andrew was angry. His plan failed. He glanced at Alex with hatred. Emma's son was also at the office that day and saw what happened. He came to his mom and whispered, "Mom, Alex didn't do it. Don't fire him. I saw Andrew entering your office. He was looking for something on your desk. He didn't know I was there because I hid under the desk." "Thank you, Alan. When did that happen? Can you remember? You're like a real detective. You helped to solve such a complicated case. Well done." Emma replied with a smile. The boy smiled sincerely. He was happy that he helped Alex. Emma checked the security camera footage and saw that her son was telling the truth. Andrew really entered her office and was looking for something in her desk drawer. The woman got angry and summoned a security guard to her office, showed him the video, and asked, "Andrew, you've been working at my company for a long time. What's going on? Why did you do that to Alex? He is kind and honest and works diligently." "Andrew, why?" The guard frowned, and after a short pause, he said, "Because he's a dirty homeless. I've decided to teach him a lesson." Emma was furious. She didn't expect such insolence and immediately fired Andrew. Alex was grateful to Emma again because she believed him for the second time. "Emma, thank you for not firing me. I really didn't steal anything. I'm only beginning to live like a normal person, and I realize I don't look good enough yet, but I'm trying very hard to become a normal person again. If you need any help, I will always help you," the man said gratefully. The woman smiled and then dared to ask, "Alex, I'm sorry for my question, but I'm really curious. How did you end up on the street? I can't stop thinking about it. You are a normal man, not an alcoholic, but you were homeless. I don't understand." Alex sighed and replied, "I don't even know what to say. I've been unlucky since I was a kid. I never saw my father, and my mother drank all the time. I didn't even have a normal childhood. I remember that my mother's lovers used to come to our house all the time. The house smelled of alcohol and cigarette smoke. Maybe that's why I didn't start drinking. When I think of those drunken faces, it makes me sick. After school, I joined the army, signed a contract, and was at war. Then I came back, met a beautiful girl, got married, got a job in a security agency, and we rented an apartment together. But I had no luck there either. All she could think about was money. She constantly demanded expensive gifts, outfits, and restaurants, but I had no money to fulfill all her desires. And then she started cheating on me and left with her lover. That's when things changed in my life. I was fired, and it was my own fault. I had an argument with my boss. I had no more money to pay the rent, so I ended up on the street. I didn't know what to do. I don't even know how to explain what I felt. But when I saved your son, something changed in me. I felt that I wanted to live again. So now I'm trying to become a normal person again, and I think I'm succeeding. I just want to be a normal, ordinary man. To have a family, children." Emma listened quietly and then said, "You know, our destinies are very similar. I also grew up in a dysfunctional family. I had a terrible childhood. I don't even want to think about it. And my husband also left me for his mistress. My son still misses him, but Jamie forgot he had a son. The last time he came to see Alan was 3 months ago. But as you can see, I got through it, and you can definitely get through it too. Everything will be fine. The main thing is that you have the desire to change your life." One day, Emma got a call from an important investor. She wanted to have a meeting with him for so long. "Emma, you and I have been invited to the same wedding on Saturday. A lot of entrepreneurs will be there. Are you gonna be there? I would like to discuss your business plan." I found it interesting. The woman was surprised and said frankly, "I'd be happy to discuss my business plan with you, Robert. But I don't understand what wedding you're talking about." The investor replied in surprise, "Your ex-husband, Jamie, is getting married, and you're on the guest list. I saw your name. I was surprised that you managed to stay friends after the divorce. Usually, ex-wives are not invited to such events. Please, keep in mind that I'm only coming to your city to attend this party, and the next morning I'm leaving the country. So, are you coming to the wedding? Emma didn't know what to do in this situation. It would be disgusting and humiliating to see Jamie's insolent face and watch him marry his mistress. But she couldn't miss an opportunity to talk to an investor. So she said resolutely, "Of course, I will definitely come to Jamie's wedding." After the phone call, Emma checked her email and saw an invitation to the wedding. It's weird. Why would Jamie invite me to the wedding? He doesn't even want to communicate with his son. Has he come to his senses and decided to start communicating for the sake of Alan? Or he just wants to humiliate me? Anyway, I have to go to this damn wedding. Emma didn't want to go there. She imagined her ex-husband's satisfied face. Jamie marrying a young mistress. But Emma still hadn't found a man. Of course, it would be better for her to come with her fiancé. But where would she find a fiancé until next Saturday? And then, she decided to ask Alex for help. He was probably the only person who could help her now. She had no other friends because when you own a business, it's hard to be friends with anyone. Everyone competes with each other. The woman entered the security room. Alex was checking the security camera footage at that moment. Emma said hello and asked for a favor, even though she felt awkward. "Alex, you once told me that if I needed help, I could always turn to you. Well, I need help now more than ever." "Sure, just tell me what I have to do. I will definitely help you." The man immediately replied. The woman explained the situation in detail and asked, "Please pretend to be my fiancé. It's very important to me. Just for one night, I'll do anything for you. But the guests will quickly realize that I'm not from the business world, and that could make things even worse," he said. Emma replied hopefully, "Don't worry. We won't be there all night. I just want my ex-husband to see me and regret leaving me and my son. And I also have a business meeting there. An important investor will be there. Your job is to talk less and just be near me. We'll buy you a nice suit and make up a story about us." They spent the whole week preparing for the wedding. Emma took Alex to the beauty salon. They went shopping, and soon he really looked like a businessman. He was carefully learning a story about himself. They would tell everyone that Alex had a small company in another city and came here for business. The wedding day came. Many guests came to the expensive restaurant, and all of them were rich and well-known people. Emma entered the restaurant holding hands with Alex. They looked perfect together. The woman was wearing a long tight dress with an open back and high-heeled shoes, and her long hair flowed down her delicate shoulders. She looked gorgeous and noticed all the men's eyes on her. Alex also looked flawless. He had a stylish beard, was wearing a nice suit, and looked like an actor from a famous movie. They greeted all the guests and then walked up to the newlyweds. Emma smiled charmingly and said, "Jamie, congratulations on your big day. I hope this time you'll be able to find true happiness. This is a wedding gift from me and my fiancé Alex." "Congratulations, Jamie. I wish you to be as happy as Emma and I are. I still can't believe I met the best woman in the universe," Alex said with a sly smile. While Jamie was processing what he just heard, Emma and Alex walked to their table. Jamie got upset for some reason. He even felt jealous. He looked sadly at Christina. She was really beautiful, and there was passion between them. But there was no feminine intelligence in her, only arrogance. He looked at Emma angrily and kept thinking, "Who the hell is that man? This is the first time I've seen him. I should find out everything about him. I thought she was grieving after a divorce, but she's already found a fiancé." Emma was satisfied. They made the right impression on Jamie. At first, everything was fine. The woman had a conversation with Robert, but the investor looked at Alex very strangely, asking him a lot of questions. Emma and Robert even planned a partnership. But then things got horrible. In the middle of the party, when the groom was already very drunk, he suddenly walked to the stage. took the microphone, and said, "Dear guests, I have an important announcement. I just got a call from a decent man, Andrew. My wife recently fired him. Andrew told me the truth. Emma's fiancé is lying. He's not a businessman. He's a bum. She found him in a dumpster, cleaned him up, and now he works for her company as a security guard. I don't want this guy at my wedding. I'm afraid he might rob us. So get out of here, homeless jerk." Everyone started whispering and began to stare at Emma and Alex. He looked at her and quietly said, "I told you this was a bad idea." Then Alex suddenly got up from the table, walked to the stage, took the microphone, and said loudly, "I'm going to leave now, but I want everyone to know. It doesn't matter whether a person is rich or poor. What matters is whether they are decent human beings or not. And it's not right to talk about people without knowing anything about them. Yeah, I'm not a businessman, that's true. So what? I've never stolen a dime from anyone. You know, Jamie, I'm glad you left Emma and your son. They deserve better." He clenched his fists and headed for the exit, holding back his emotions. Emma followed him. She didn't want to be there. On the way out of the restaurant, Alex suddenly slipped on the slippery tiles and fell on his back. A red puddle appeared under his head. Emma screamed loudly, and panic broke out in the restaurant. An ambulance arrived, and the man was taken to the hospital. Emma went with him. She was holding his hand and crying, "I'm sorry, Alex. It's all my fault. Alex, why don't you say anything? Open your eyes and say something. Alex." The paramedics tried to calm her down and even scolded her. "Miss, stop shouting. He's unconscious, and he can't hear you anyway. The case is serious. Most likely, there was a cerebral hemorrhage. We don't know how it may end, but you should be ready for bad news." Emma was crying in the hospital hallway and blaming herself because if it wasn't for her idea to go to the wedding, nothing would have happened. Only now did she realize how precious this man was to her. She was afraid of losing him, and she didn't know how to help him. The doctors examined Alex and performed an urgent surgery, but unfortunately, he fell into a coma. Doctors could not make any prognosis. They said, "It is unknown how his body will recover." After that incident, Emma was constantly sad. She and Alan visited Alex in the hospital every day, talked to him, and read books aloud to him. They hoped that the man would survive and start to recover. A couple of days after the scandal at her ex-husband's wedding, one of the guests came to Emma's office. It was the same investor, Robert. "Emma, I wanted to talk to you, but I'm not sure you'll believe me. The thing is that your fiancé Alex looks exactly like my dead son. I can see that you don't believe me. I'll tell you everything starting from my youth. My wife and I got married early. We were happy. I loved her madly. But we had no children. Lisa had some health problems and couldn't have a baby. At that time, the only solution to this problem was a child from an orphanage. But we dreamed of having a biological baby. We had never heard of surrogacy before, but I found a professor of obstetrics and gynecology and persuaded him to help us. All we had to do was find a woman to be a surrogate mom. We published an advertisement saying that we were looking for a decent young healthy woman for a specific, well-paid job. Several candidates came to us, but we chose Vivian, a healthy young woman from a small town. We told her everything, and she agreed to help us, as she needed the money badly because her child was ill. Everything went well. Vivian got pregnant and lived in our house, but often went to visit her son at home. My wife was wearing a fake belly. We were preparing to become parents. We didn't go to the hospital. Only the professor knew about our situation. When Vivian went into premature labor, my wife and I were on a business trip. When we got home, Vivian had already left. The doctor gave us the baby. He said that he had also given Vivian the necessary amount of money. We paid the doctor for silence. You know, we were happy that there were no problems, so we didn't ask any questions about why the surrogate mom left so quickly. We made all the necessary papers, for which we also paid a huge amount of money so that no one would ask any questions, and started raising our son Adrian. All our friends believed that it was my wife who gave birth to a boy. No one had any idea how it really was. We were happy. Adrian looked like me and my wife. When he graduated from university, I thought that he would run my business. Adrian was a healthy guy. He was even a member of the university basketball team. So when he started complaining of fever and nausea, we didn't understand what was wrong. Then he started having seizures. An ambulance took him to the hospital, and it turned out that he was bitten by an encephalitis tick while he was picnicking with his friends. Soon, my son died. It was so ridiculous. My wife and I took this tragedy very hard. And on the day of that wedding, I saw my son's doppelganger. Can you imagine my emotions? I thought I was crazy. At home, I told my wife everything. She couldn't understand anything either. But such a coincidence is not possible. So we decided to hire a private detective because I couldn't calm down. The man fell silent, his hands shaking and his voice hoarse. He gulped down a glass of water. So what did the private detective find out? Is Alex your relative? But that's impossible. He told me that he grew up in a dysfunctional family. His mom was always drunk, and he didn't like to talk about it. He also said he wasn't from around here. You're not gonna believe this, but Alex is my biological son. It turned out that Vivian had given birth to twins. She gave one of them to us, according to the contract, and took the second baby to her hometown because her elder son was terminally ill. A year later, despite all the efforts of doctors and the money, her elder son died. After that, she started drinking heavily. That's how Alex ended up in a dysfunctional family. If I had only known that I had another son and he was suffering, I would have done everything possible and taken him away and raised him in love and care. And now I have found him, but he is in a coma. I pray day and night for him to survive. Emma, thank you for supporting him and giving him a job. Don't listen to all those stupid people. I will get revenge on all of them for saying that. I'm very grateful to you. I would do anything for you. Robert continued. Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. She blinked confusedly. You know, I'm glad Alex is your son, but I curse myself for persuading him to come to this wedding with me. And now, he can die because of me. I want to help him, but I don't know how. The doctors say there's almost no chance. We just have to wait. Wait for what? Robert answered firmly. Don't be upset. We will do everything possible to save my son. I'll find the best doctors. He'll be fine, I promise. I'll do everything possible. Because now I have a reason to live. If he knew his father was waiting for him, I think he would wake up faster. Those words impressed Emma. After talking to Robert, she went to the hospital and entered the room. Alex was still lying on the bed with his eyes closed, sensors flashing around him. The woman took his hand and squeezed it tightly. His fingers were cold and lifeless. She began to speak softly to him. Alex, listen to me. You have to wake up. You have to do this. Your father, Robert, saw you at that wedding and realized you were his son. Do you hear me? Your father is waiting for you. He's praying for your health. He's waiting for you to get better, and he loves you. And I am waiting for you too, not as an employee or a friend, but as the dearest and most beloved person. Only when the tragedy happened to you did I realize how precious you are to me, how much me and Alan need you. Alex, dear, wake up. We all want it. You are not alone anymore. Do you hear me? It was hard to believe, but his finger twitched. Emma immediately felt it. And then his eyelids twitched. The sensors beeped rapidly, and the woman rushed to call the doctors. The doctors said it was a miracle that Alex came back to life because the chances of a happy outcome were minimal. Now, the best doctors were treating Alex. It all helped to get a good result. And little by little, the man began to get better. He didn't immediately recognize everyone. Alex learned to speak, eat, and then walk again. Emma and Robert were always by Alex's side, supporting him emotionally and telling him all the time that he would definitely get better. Little Alan was drawing nice pictures for him and was also waiting for Alex to get well. The boy wanted to talk and walk with his faithful friend like he used to. When Alex was about to be discharged from the hospital, he suddenly confessed to Emma, "You know, I felt that I was between two different worlds. I had such a strange feeling, like my body was not mine. Nothing hurt, and I couldn't understand whether I was sleeping. But when you started to tell me about my father, about loving me, I suddenly realized that I had to wake up. I realized you were waiting for me in this world, and I knew I had to do everything I could to open my eyes. Emma, I wanted to ask you, did you tell me about love just to encourage me? I really like you. I've never met a woman like you before, but I forbid myself to think about you. I'm just a bum, and you're a successful businesswoman. I realized that nothing could happen between us. But what now? Tell me the truth. Don't give me false hope." Now Emma knew for sure what she felt and what she wanted. She had already discussed it with her son, and so she said confidently, "Now, Alex, I'm not letting you go anywhere. Alan fully supports me in this decision. We really need such a father and husband as you. And from the hospital, we'll go straight to our house. Does that answer suit you?" Alex couldn't hold back his emotions. He couldn't believe his happiness. The guy gently embraced Emma and kissed her timidly on the lips, looked into her eyes, and then they kissed each other passionately, putting all their love and emotions into this kiss. They both realized that they couldn't live without each other, and that they felt so good being together. But Alex had one more important meeting ahead of him, with his mother. He still couldn't believe that all his childhood was messed up by a surrogate mother, while his parents were raising his brother and didn't even realize that they had another child. His father picked him up, and they headed to Robert's luxurious mansion. Alex was impressed by what he saw. There were exotic trees and beautiful fountains everywhere. He had never seen anything like this before. An elderly lady with kind eyes and a warm smile came out to meet them and hugged him tightly. "Alex, my dear son, I can't believe it. You look so much like Adrian. Even the mole above your eyebrow is the same. My dear boy, forgive us for not being there for you, but we didn't know anything about you. Vivian deceived us. But I'm grateful that we finally found each other." Alex felt like a little boy and didn't want this hug to end. No one had ever hugged him or said warm words to him when he was a child. But now, when he was hugging his real mother, he felt so calm, so warm inside. He kissed his mom's hands and whispered, "I'm so happy you found me. My whole life before I met Emma and you was so unlucky. Sometimes, I didn't even want to live. I just didn't understand why. But now I want to do so much, to achieve something so that you can be proud of me." His father also wept and replied, "Everything is ahead of you, son. Now we won't lose each other. I will be happy if you agree to work in my company. I will teach you everything, and over time you will run our business. But why did you come here without your bags? I thought you were moving into our house." "Dad, Emma and I love each other, and I'm going to live with her. I love Emma and her son very much, and I want to become the most faithful, the best husband and father for them. I hope you will understand and support me." Alex answered honestly. Robert shook his hand and said, "That's the right decision. Son, family is the most important thing. I wish you happiness. I know Emma. She is a great woman. I think we will even increase our assets because we will be relatives. I also know her ex-husband. He's a terrible person. She had a hard time with him. But Emma is a strong woman. She even managed to start her own business. But I think it's not easy for her to manage her business and devote time to her child. Let her have some rest. Make her feel like a woman again. You know what I mean. You know, come to dinner tonight all together. We would love to meet our grandson. I would love to spend time with him." Alex started to live with Emma and Alan, and from the first day, he felt needed in this house. The boy was very happy. He lacked fatherly attention, so he constantly followed Alex. But the man was not annoyed. On the contrary, he patiently taught the child everything and felt himself a real father. The relationship with Emma was also good. Alex remembered his father's words and tried to be tender and caring with his beloved. He gave her relaxing massage, listened to all her problems, and tried to solve them, always being by her side. The woman could not believe it, because her ex-husband had never cared for her like that. It was she who did everything for him. She was like a servant to him. So she had enjoyed such sincere love from Alex. And now she was happy that Jamie had left her. Otherwise, she would still be crying at night and suffering from her husband's cheating. Jamie had a fight with his new wife after the scandal at their wedding. Christina was mad and kept yelling, "Are you happy now? You wanted to humiliate your ex-wife, but you humiliated me. Well done. Why did you even invite her to our wedding? None of the guests even paid attention to me. Everyone was talking about your ex-wife and her boyfriend. Is that what you wanted? And then that homeless guy ended up in the hospital. I'll remember that day forever. But it wasn't the wedding I dreamed of. Thank you, Jamie. It was a great start to our married life." Jamie realized that things didn't work out the way he planned. He got drunk and started insulting Alex, showing that he still cared about Emma. Why did he even start that scandal? He wanted to hurt Emma, to humiliate her, but ended up humiliating himself. Moreover, the homeless man turned out to be the son of a powerful businessman. Alex already works for his father's company, and now everyone respects him. Family life with Christina began with a scandal, and after the wedding, their relationship worsened a lot. The cunning woman looked at her lover from a different angle. He was a good lover. He promised her a luxurious life, but it turned out that he was a bad businessman. His company made almost no profit and could soon go bankrupt. Christina dreamed of a comfortable life, beauty salons, and vacations abroad, but she only had to comfort her husband and listen to his promises that soon everything would be fine. The young and ambitious woman was not happy with such a family life and immediately found a more promising lover, Jamie's competitor. Christina really could easily charm any man. Her new lover persuaded Christina to steal the necessary papers from Jamie's office, and with the help of these papers, he seized his company. Jamie lost everything. His wife cheated on him and left with her new lover for the Maldives, and he was left with no family and no business. The man finally realized that Emma was the one who ran his business, and without her, the company ceased to exist. Jamie thought about his ex-wife again. He regretted that he had left her and married cunning Christina. The man decided to get his wife back by any means. It was his only chance to become a normal person again. He waited for her outside the atelier every evening, called her constantly, and tried to give her flowers. But Emma was angry and refused to reconcile with him. She had explained to Jamie many times, "Don't call me and don't come here again. You are too late to think about love and fidelity. You should have thought about your family earlier. Alan and I have a new life with a reliable, decent man. Go away, please." Jamie was angry. He didn't expect this. He was sure that Emma would forgive him and return to him because she loved him so much. Jamie realized that he would not get what he wanted that way, so he decided to act in a different way and demanded to see his son. But Emma had never forbidden them to see each other. At first, Alan was happy that his father called and decided to come to see him on his day off. The boy happily told his dad how he and Alex had flown a kite in the park, made a craft for school, a funny donkey, and how Alex had taught him to ride a bike. But it was very unpleasant for Jamie to hear this. He couldn't stand it and yelled at the child, "Shut up. Why do you keep talking about Alex? Maybe you don't need your real father anymore. Let me teach you how to drive a car. Sit on my lap. You'll drive the real car. It's much more fun than making crafts with Alex." He was sure that his son would be happy because he had once asked him to teach him to drive, But Alan suddenly shook his head negatively and said, "No, we can't do that. Don't you know the road rules?" Alex and I had already talked about it. He explained that people can only drive when they have a driver's license, and children are not allowed to do it. It's dangerous. We can get into an accident. Daddy, you shouldn't curse Alex. He is so cool. Look what he taught me. The boy showed some karate techniques and expected his dad to praise him. But Jamie only frowned even more. The man was angry that now the most important man for his son was Alex and not him. After a short pause, he suddenly said, "Alan, let's kick Alex out of the house, and then I'll come back to you and Mom and live with you, and we'll be happy again. You don't need a stranger. You have a daddy." His son looked at him strangely and maturely, and then asked Jamie to take him home to his mom and Alex. "No, Dad, I don't want to do that. I'm happy with Alex and Mommy. I don't want you to live with us again. Mommy is happy now. She laughs like she used to and doesn't cry anymore. I love you because you're my dad, but can I go home now? You don't want to hear about my achievements. I was hoping you'd praise me." Jamie realized that it was a bad idea to talk to the child like that and discuss adult topics. The man tried to talk to the boy some more, but half an hour later, Alan called his mother, and Jamie took him home. The boy entered the house, and Alex immediately called him into the kitchen. "Hey, Alan, I'm glad you are home already. I really need your help. Mom asked me to make a nice flower holder for her. Can you help me? We're a team, right? I can't do it without you." The boy started to help happily, and Alex praised him. They were so enthusiastic about this activity that they didn't notice how the evening came. They were joking and chatting cheerfully. Emma was watching them and thought, "This is so weird." Jamie had never spent time with his son. He was always busy. He said he had a lot of work to do, or he was tired, or he was on another business trip. But Alex managed to teach Alan a lot of things in just a few months. To make slingshots, wooden crafts, and even hammer nails. Assembling a wooden cabinet. And the man never got annoyed, never yelled at the child. And Alan is always happy. He tries so hard, and he feels like a little man next to Alex. Even today, when Jamie invited Alan to go for a walk together, just an hour later, the child asked to go home and came back very upset. What had happened there? And how is that even possible? Alex loves and cares for the boy, while Jamie cannot even communicate with his son in a normal way. I'm so happy that I met Alex, that he came into my life. Only now I realized what a real family is, what it is to be loved. It turns out that when a man sincerely loves you, he will do everything to make his woman happy. Jamie could not calm down after a disappointing meeting with his son. He started drinking cheap alcohol all the time and planned to take revenge on the homeless man. He felt like everything that was happening to him now was because of Alex. If Alex didn't show up in their lives, Emma would definitely come back to him, and everything would be the same as before. The more drunk he got, the more he wanted to kill Alex. He got in the car drunk and drove to Emma's house. He already imagined how he would hit Alex in the face. And if that didn't work, he had a small folding knife in his pocket. He would rather go to jail than let Emma live with Alex. He started banging loudly on the door like a madman. Emma opened the door, and seeing the drunk Jamie sighed heavily. "What do you want? We divorced a long time ago. Don't come here again. I beg you. Go away. Don't make me nervous." But Jamie was not going to leave. He shouted loudly, "Emma, I need to talk to your stupid bum. You're mine. Do you understand? I want him to leave our house." Alex ran out of the room. A frightened Alan looked out from behind him and whispered, "Dad, are you drunk? I'm scared. Go away." Alex told Emma firmly, "Go inside. Calm Alan down. I'll be right back." But the woman felt that Jamie was strange. She could see it in his eyes. They were crazy. She immediately called the police. The woman tried to help her beloved, but she couldn't leave her son alone either. He got scared and cried. So Emma quickly took her son to a neighbor's house and returned to the yard. Drunk Jamie attacked Alex with a knife and shouted, "I'm not giving you Emma. Get out of our lives. I'm her husband, and you're just a nobody. I'll kill you." But Alex was not afraid. He grew up in a dysfunctional family and went to a public school in a small town, so he knew how to fight. Besides, he had served in the army for a long time. He deftly grabbed Jamie and knocked him to the ground face down. The drunken man screamed from the pain in his arms, and Alex said to him, "Listen to me. You can't force anyone to fall in or out of love. Do you understand it? Emma doesn't love you anymore. You cheated on her, and you tried to humiliate her. So why do you want to get her back? She won't be happy with you. You're selfish. You don't even need your son. You don't want to communicate with him, because to raise a child, you need patience and time. You need to make an effort. But you are lazy, and you are not used to doing anything for others. You are used to having others fulfill all your desires. Anyway, if you come here again, or even call Emma, you'll go to jail. If necessary, I'll ask my father to help me. He has some useful connections." Jamie cried out in pain and despair, because Alex was telling him the truth, and Jamie had nothing to say to justify himself. At that moment, the police arrived. Jamie was taken to the police station. Alex shook off his clothes and hugged Emma, whispering to her, "I won't let anyone hurt you and Alan. Don't be afraid. And remember that I love you both. Okay, let's go. Alan is really scared. We need to comfort him." Emma hugged him, kissed and said, "I feel so calm, so good when you are by my side." Alex picked up the boy from the neighbor's place, hugged him, and said confidently, looking into his eyes, "You're more than a son to me, Alan. You're the most precious person to me. Never be afraid. And remember that I'll always protect you. Don't cry. Calm down. Your dad will never come again. Let's order a pizza and watch a good movie together. What kind of movie would you like to watch?" The boy immediately wiped away his tears, turned on the TV, and chose his favorite movie. They snuggled on the bed and enjoyed watching it. The three of them had a wonderful time together. They were a real family, where everyone protected each other.